Hey, how's it going, guys? What is up? Soros here once again. For today's video, it'll be all about my loadout update in general, or I guess progression to what I've done so far or accomplished, I guess. So basically, it's just like a whole progression update kind of thing, like the stuff that I've been doing like the past two MacFests, I guess. Plus, I'm sure you guys have already known by now that I have not exactly updated my loadout page for probably like what 4 months now. Anyway, if you're able to watch this video by now, my loadout page will be updated already. So if you guys want to refer it alongside while I explain them and such in the video, by all means check the link in the description below for it. And so without further ado, let's just jump into the game since it'll be a lot easier for me to explain it to you guys. So let's go. Hey, yo, so right now we are in game, and I'm just gonna briefly explain to you guys how I am planning to what's that doing like in terms of arrangement and such. So what I'm gonna do, because I'm not sure you guys actually seen my loadout page yet, the one I tend to share like everywhere kind of thing. Like I only tend to share like the very important loadouts or like the generic and OTK loadouts, and I tend to do that in a very jumbled up order. So right now I'm probably gonna do in like a much standard arrangement. So I'm planning to do it in like like usually how it's been arranged like in game, as you can see from this screen right here. So it's like fire, water, earth, wind, light, and dark. So from the top it's gonna be fire, then the bottoms are the dark, and yada yada. So yeah, so I'll be just sharing like the ones that because there's quite a few setups I'm probably using nowadays, but I don't think I'll be putting them all in my loadout because there's probably like gonna be like filled with a lot of shit anyway. So I'm probably just gonna put like my generic setups where I tend to use like either everyday kind of thing or just use it in like specific boss fights, like in Fossen or like in Shiny and stuff like that. So because those are like the really important ones, and probably like you tend to see me use those kind of stuff on stream on and off fairly often. So yeah, if all those like specific setups, like like I'm using like my hector grid or whatever, you can just probably just refer to that video in general, because there's really no need for me to explain that shit here anyway, because I've already dedicated an entire video for that. So yeah. Anyway, let's just go right into it. Alright, so first things first is my fire. So my fire, my most generic setup that I tend to use majority of the time is like obviously my glory bringer setup, where I consist of using Esser and Shiva, because I don't really have Alanan yet. So obviously like my best one right now is still using Anira, because she's there to buff, debuff, all that kind of stuff. And Glory is just so damn good with this weapon, because this weapon allows me to use Break Assassin, so I can actually do that on turn 1 along with Esser and stuff like that. And then now that I also have Full Limit Break Sun, which also allows me to do like what's that, the triple strike, what? Double strike on like the first 3 characters. But yeah, I have not switched it yet because I'm a dumbass. Okay, now that it's switched. Now that it's switched, so yeah, the first turn I'll be using obviously the sun that will apply for those for MC, Esser, and Shiva. Anira is just there to like buff and debuff anyway, so it doesn't matter. Shiva is really good because he has confirmed triple attack and all that shit, blah blah blah. Grid wise, I am also using just my typical Highlander, because that's probably like my best one so far anyway, in terms of like dealing any form of damage and have a relatively high cap as well, because as you can see right now I am using my Opus with Ogi cap, but honestly it's technically a lot better for me to use this with auto cap. But because I'm sure you guys will see it later, the lineup or the setup later, because I've been using my OTK team for like the mashing Omorigna and such. So yeah, that's one reason why it's using Ogi cap. So anyway, for this I'm using my Highlander grid, and I put in Athena Spear just to have a little bit more consistency in terms of multi-attack, but that's really about it, because I don't really have like Shiva Bow full lumen break and shit. If I have that, probably I put that in, but honestly that doesn't really make much of a difference for this grid anyway. But yeah, character wise it's just very straightforward. Summons are very straightforward as well. This stat stick, I honestly can just put stat stick for here, but since I already made a prom full lumen break, might as well just use that, because I can kind of use it. I mean, use this setup for, you know, like certain raids that are relatively long, or probably nobody bothers to join in to, like, you know, help out and shit. But yeah, then Sun obviously is like a must-have, and I'm using Shiva as the main summon because I don't have my own Agni yet. I wish I did, but I'm consistently always using Shiva as my main summon because I'm using Primal now. So I always have to find Agni in my support. So yeah, that's my Glory Bringer setup. It's very simple, and very simple and straightforward. It just gets like hit as much damage as you can, like the first few turns, burst down, bam, and done, you know. Okay, so this is my OTK setup, which, you know, I tend to use this for, like, you know, aiming for just blue chest kind of stuff, like nuking it down really quickly just to get that blue chest up and running, blah blah, all that bullshit. So yeah, so there's like specifically two different setups that I tend to use. This is my first setup that I use outside of Assault Time, where consists of Siete, Lyria, and Vayne and Lancelot. So this was kind of like hinted by a crewmate of mine. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have already known, but I'm using this too because, you know, Lyria has a very high Ogi cap already by herself, plus Lancelot and Vayne has like the massive nuke at the end, and not to mention I did manage to roll Ogi cap on Lyria as well, which is not too bad, 12% too. So that's one of the reasons why I think it's relatively good to use her. So anyway, for the grid is relatively straightforward. I'm pretty sure you guys have already seen that specific video where I have the win OTK setup or whatever shit that I had. Like, I made a video like a while ago, so you can kind of refer to that for more information. But as a little bit of a change since then, that I kind of did like swap my auxiliary weapon for my croissant whatever to this Token Rambu SR katana. So basically what this does is, like, it just gives you extra meter every single time you Ogi. You know, like how you use your you use the opus or whatever, the chain burst effect thing that gives you extra meter towards the entire team, so just so you can get extra meter to Ogi and stuff. So yeah, you use this just so everyone can Ogi in turn 1 if you're using Long Dong and stuff. And also I'm using Long Dong as my main summon. Honestly, it's better if you use Long Dong in your support, because you can probably, you know, somewhat kind of ignore like Aurum Flow or whatever if you can actually do it in one hit kind of thing. It's a lot faster, especially if you want to rush through Morigna and stuff. But I can't do that because I don't have my own Agni, and I always have to use Agni for this specific grid. So because I do not have my own Agni, I have to use this. So if you have your own Agni, by all means, right? So the rest of the summons obviously is just stat sticks as usual, and then Sun is a must-have there because this is full lumen break Sun after all. So anyway, this other setup I also included Siete is also because that not only increases the cap, he also makes the Ogi very consistent. And one more extra thing is obviously him being able to get you another Ogi following turn. So if the raid doesn't die too fast, I can probably do that. So why not, right? Alright, so this is I've not really tested this yet, but I'm just gonna share with you for now, where I haven't really properly tested this because this team is supposed to be used for Fast Sun, because I don't really have any other teams that I tend to use my fire for anyway. So for my fire setup, I'm just gonna try and share with you. So basically, I was thinking I'm using my prom grid right now. I'm probably going to explain a little bit more, like, you know, a prom stuff in a later video, because I'm planning to do that as well. So I've not exactly like tried this out yet, but I'm fairly certain it may actually work out well. I also included Athena's sword in there just so I have like another extra HP, just so I can hit that 30,000 HP threshold thing, you know, at the start. He does the stupid Paradise Lost shit, and yeah. Fairly straightforward. I'm using a spear based team, and it doesn't really matter because I already have 3 characters using spears anyway, so it kind of helps. I put Esther at the back because I was thinking that maybe she have multi-attack problems and such, but honestly I think I can just put Esther in here just so I can make it a little bit better in terms of you know, making the sun work or some shit in some other runs, because I'm not using the sun in my setup here because like I kind of want to use what's that, prom? I wanted to use prom in fast sun just so because you know, Athena has the wind switch, right? The wind switch, so if I use prom I can kind of negate everything. I can kind of like make do with Paradise Lost and all that other stuff as well if so needed, if I so need to do that specific labor and such. So Athena obviously is like kind of like there to just have like extra sustain or support or whatever if like any of my you know, the raid members kind of need Athena. I guess that helps. Honestly, this is just kind of like a pseudo placeholder unless I get a much better summon. I was thinking of swapping Athena for the sun anyway, but I'm not too sure about that yet. But I'll update it sometime again in the future from my fire setup on fast sun, because I haven't really properly tested this yet. But just gives you this is just a heads up for you guys anyway. Typhoon is like, I feel like it's a must just so like you can Ogi again, get like some free turns so you don't eat too much Ogi and such like that. Baha is obviously just there for a stat stick. I'm probably not even gonna bother really using it all too much unless I really want to confirm the damage or something, which you probably don't really need all too much to begin with, because if you really want to deal with the labors, you just use Esther S4 and then you're done already anyway. So especially if you're using the sun as well, you just use Esther S4 and then bam, you're good to go already. Doesn't really matter. So anyway, that's the three loadouts for my fire team. So let's jump into water. Alright, so my main water team will be definitely just my staff team because I don't really have a primal yet for this one, so I'm forced to use Magna. So yeah, my best, probably like my current best one is just to use like a Magna staff team. So I'm kind of like just filled with mostly Magna 2 Europa shits. Just sticks, the harps, you know. I have like a merc here because I have like so many what's that, dupes anyway, so I just combine them up. I didn't really bar this, so yeah, that's kind of nice. I don't really plan to make a merc Greek anyway, so I just like say fuck it and just combine them all anyway. Yeah, and I'm planning to change this sometime in the future. I'm honestly not too sure what I want to put in yet, but I do want to change this because this dagger sucks so much dick. I might actually just consider trying out putting in the Rise of the Beast dagger or something and see how it turns out. But yeah, this is kind of like the standard setup. I do not have the moon yet because I decided to go for Justice first. The rest is kind of straightforward. This Typhoon can go wrong with Europa setup anyway, because you know water Ogi is pretty damn strong. So yeah, Typhoon will be nice. Baha obviously is a must-have because that's best testing in the game. And I did manage to get a max limit break Gabriel as well, because for some reason I get like consistent drops of this through my gacha or whatever. Yeah, I just got 4 dupes, and thanks to that I can max limit breaker. And because I'm using a staff team, I decided to put in Ultima staff as well for obvious reasons, just so they can like consistently multi-attack a lot better and have an extra Ogi cap and such. As you all know that I have this fucked up right now, but it's supposed to be different right now because I'm also using stuff for like another hidden setup, which I'm probably not going to share in a video right now. But for this specific one, it's very likely it's supposed to be a chain burst anyway. So just to let you guys know, this is a chain burst. It's not supposed to be this. Probably what you're seeing in the loadout is already chain burst. So yeah, just a little heads up for you guys. Let's just go next. So this is my the typical Ogi setup or OTK setup for my water, which is very straightforward, where you know the whole fish thing, which I think I did not really change all too much from before. I have like the 4 harps and 1 Cosmos thing, and the rest is just kind of like just put in as much raw damage as you can, blah blah blah. Very straightforward. Yeah, so I'm also using Ultima Katana as my main hand because you kind of want to get the extra water attack up just to have a little bit of consistency. But then again, I'm also using Siete in the lineup just so I can get extra cap and more consistency. Technically, I could just remove Siete to put in like Uno or whatever, but it really just, I feel like this is good enough for like a lot of stuff anyway. Summon is pretty straightforward. I just put in as many water summons that I have that are relatively high on stats. I did manage to full limit break Macula from dupes, and it's not really that bad anyway. I don't really have like too many water summons to begin with, so why not? I did manage to make Justice again to like 5 stars, so great to put her in there. And then Gabriel once again. And for fish setup, you don't exactly need all 5 summons to be water anyway, so I can just fit in one Baha there just to have like a massive stat stick. Simple as that. And then yeah, Summer Grea, Yoda, the best ones I have because I have no doggo. So this is my water group for Fossen. So because as you all know, I recently sparked Europa not too long ago during summer. So now that I have like Europa in here with a whole fire switch thing, makes it even better with like the Lily combo and having the buckle setup. It's kind of like, it is similar to like the whole, I mean, water is kind of like the easiest to technically cheese in terms of like not taking damage and such. Europa and Lily just makes it so much better. You just don't take any damage. So I did kind of try this before, but I didn't really do a lot of damage because, well, my grid sucks so much ass anyway. Besides me oging, that's like where my damage comes from because I have 3 harps in here. I did put Merc in my as a main hand because it's a pretty nice main hand anyway, because it can get extra lengths. Not like a mini lengths, I guess, because it's like 35%. So I can get like 100% cut every single time I Ogi with length. So yeah, it makes it even better. So I put once again a staff Ultima with Opus, and I also use this so I can get extra HP. And then the other ones I use 2 Albirons because you can technically crit anyway on the main target. So I was thinking, hey, Albiron doesn't sound like a bad idea. I get extra HP and some sort of damage, I guess. It's not that great, but hey, it kind of works. Yeah, honestly, it kind of works because like I take no damage at all. I can survive relatively well because, you know, I have this stupid ass setup and shit. And I put Justice in just so I can get extra HP to get like the 30k amount or whatever, because I'm not exactly using double. I'm using Gabriel and Leviathan as my support. Yeah, honestly, I don't think this is a great grid at all. I just don't do fucking damage at all. But I can get the labors done at least because, you know, 3 harps, and then with Baha, honestly, it's more than enough already to get that 10 million anyway. So yeah, this team just doesn't die at all, but it doesn't do anything. So hey, at least I can still contribute to a certain extent, right? But yeah, that's it for my water. I'm gonna jump in next with my earth. Alright, so this is gonna be covering my earth setups. This is like the standard generic setup that I use for like Magna HL, like Europa, whatever, Magna 2, blah blah blah. Like majority of the stuff. I probably will use this as well for like maybe some specific trains or some shit. But yeah, this is my very generic setup for where I use Kango, Sarasa, Alex, and Octo. I just put Loviria. This one at the back doesn't really matter. The back line doesn't matter. The main one is just this tree. So pretty straightforward. I just use Magna 2. Kaneshige is a main hand. I put Ultima Katana in there as well, along with Opus, blah blah blah. Because I already have Opus, I don't really need three axes anymore. So I decided to put all this just to increase like my raw damage and such. It works. It definitely works. And summon, obviously, I just use Yugu as my main summon because I don't really have any other very good earth summons that I can use, you know, like Uriel and such. This Uriel in there is technically like a pseudo Uriel because I kind of want the meter and stuff. Ferrier is just there to, like, you know, do the whole Ogi combo back to back kind of thing, which is great when you combine it with your own Uriel if you do have, not this one. And obviously Hangman is a must, and yeah, so pretty straightforward. Alright, so my Earth OTK is fairly straightforward. I'll be using Croissant, and because I also made a Croissant Earth weapon, class weapon for my Earth, so I decided to just use it. And then obviously Siete is the best, and I just use Sarasa and Octo because they have like one of the highest Ogi damage that I have from my Earth, so I'm using both of them. So I also use Kaneshige because I did make Kaneshige for Earth, and it's also a really great weapon to put as an auxiliary because it gives you extra meter, which allows Octo to get that 200 meter fairly easily. So the grid is fairly straightforward. Once again, it's just Magna 2 stuff, blah blah blah. Main summon, I just use Yugu. This is all stat stick stuff, it doesn't really matter. But the one thing that I usually tend to do is that I will at least have to probably get extra meter for Octo in order for him to get 200 meter in the first turn outside of assault time. So like outside of assault time, I will have to obviously use Long Dong as my support summon. So I tend to have to suck some meter with him in order to get 200 meter to Ogi and such. So MC will have the usual Aurum Flow dual arts thing set up. So with this, I can technically go 3-turn Ogi, 3-turn full-blown nuking spree and such. Honestly, if you don't really want to do that, if you just want to go fast, you can technically just use the Long Dawn turn 1 and then just dual arts and be over with. And yeah, that's kind of straightforward. Or you could also just press his S1. You don't really need dual arts on MC anyway. But yeah, you just do whatever you want, I guess, whichever you prefer. But this is how I tend to use mine. Alright, so my shiny setup for Earth, I have not used this in a really long time, but I've been using this a lot back then anyway. So it's very straightforward. You have to use Xeno Sword as a main hand because you can do the whole switch thing, and because Shiny does have the randomized element stuff, and I'm also using Ultima there, but it's not exactly supposed to be that because it's supposed to be Chain Burst with the Hogi Cap on Opus, so it's fairly straightforward. I just use this so I can get extra cap and such. Very straightforward, just nuke non-stop and stuff like that. Summon wise is fairly simple. Again, just use Freyr, Baha and stuff like that. Very straightforward. You tend to know how it goes. I don't think I need to re-explain this how I use. Same shit, just different day. Alright, so this is like my Earth Fossen, probably like my best team to go with Fossen anyway. So if I really need to, like, I don't know, at least help carry or some shit in any Fossen runs, I'll definitely have to use my Earth because it's definitely my strongest, with the help of Lobelia, obviously. So basically, my Earth does allow me to do a lot of labors. Like, not only I can clear my own elemental labor, I can also clear like the plane damage labor. I can also clear the overchain burst because overchain thing because Octo. I can also clear Paradise Lost with this. Yeah, can do quite a few very important labors with this team fairly easily. And the reason for that is because I have Lobelia, and Lobelia does provide you the extra skill cap, and because I'm also have to use skill cap on my Ultima, I'm also using Ultima Sword because it applies to. I don't really want to make Sarasa pretty as useless. Technically, I don't really have to do that. I could also just use Katana to make this two stronger, but I kind of prefer to use Sword because it applies to MC as well. So at least I don't really want MC to be utterly useless. So I'm using skill cap, and with skill cap along with his passive, because I don't really, if I so need to clear Paradise Lost, I won't really bring out Lobelia out front immediately. If I don't really have to do that, I will just Ground 0 in turn 1 and just bring out Lobelia immediately. So you don't really have to make use of one extra death, before go first arc, the whole death counter, the end kind of thing. Yeah. So because by then, when you activate the labors, by then my Lobelia's passive will already be quite active on her. So Sarasa have at least activated her skills quite a bit, increase the cap a little bit extra, just so she can easily do 2 million plus ground 0 damage in order to like just get that 7 labor done fairly easily. And I said that Paradise Lost is done very easily as well, is because that Earth can negate that very easily because This is the original, by the way. This is just an outfit. It's not. I'm not using Summer Alexis. I don't really have Summer Vera to go with to get extra dispels and such. So because S2 is just so damn strong, so I have to use Kirin for that. It's just so good. There's so many characters I kind of want to do a combo with Kirin along with this guy as well. It makes it so much better. And then Typhoon is obviously, and I have to use Athena for this one because Athena is technically like one of the better ones. Well, actually no. In a way, I feel like these days I can kind of make do without Athena, but honestly, Athena makes it a lot smoother for me. But if I really need to go through Paradise Lost, I would usually ask the Wind guy to provide me what's that? The Tiamat to go through 95, because usually by then when I nuke, it should be usually past 95. I mean, that's based on experience anyway. There are times where I probably might not be able to do that, but yeah, it is possible for me to go through like, because there are some runs where it was really slow and I gone through at least like, I think there are some runs where I went through like 10-ish turns even before Labors was triggered. So I could actually kind of trigger Kirin if I really need to progress with, proceed with a Paradise Lost on my team, right? So yeah, fairly straightforward. Baha's obviously stats thing. I'm using Hangman as my main summon these days because extra clear. I always need that. You know, Earth always has that problem of clears because I'm not using clear as for my skills. You have to use Dispel substitute so you can tank more shit. You can go through more turns with it. Delay is just so obviously you can also go through more turns, or you can also kind of like use this to like shift Fossen to a way that you can kind of get Paradise Lost, because that's usually what I tend to do as well. So that's it for my Earth setups. Let's go on to my Wind. Alright, so my generic Wind setup is fairly straightforward as well, which is very similar to my Earth. I'm also using Magna, but I'm using Highlander for this because having Neo and Monkey's buff just makes your damage very consistent anyway. So I am using the Highlander setup. So I have like the Seraphic, the Ultima, and such, just so I can cap relatively high. I even have the Rise of the Beast Spear to give me extra cap as well. So I have Judgment, Full Limit Break, then I put Baha, I put Freya, Shiva turn, you know, the usual stuff. It's very straightforward. I'm also using Glory because the extra Echo with the help of the Monkey's S2, just put it on turn 1, and I'm pretty damn certain like most of the stuff tend to not like get rid of that in turn 1 because you have like 4000 shield from Monkey, it's the S2. So it doesn't really just get rid of it right off the bat. So MC's Echo sometimes stays there like forever because, you know, Coma maybe stands for like 6 turns or something if you're lucky. So very straightforward. I just put in like, yeah, just put in raw damage. Straightforward. Yeah, it works. It works, does damage. Bam. Simple as that. So my Wind OTK is also fairly simple. I don't really use Mirin anymore because in order for you to use Mirin, even though Mirin's like Full Limit Break, she's nice and all, but in order to use her, you kind of have to use Mechanic, and Mechanic to me is just very slow in order to activate like the skills and such. So I just say screw that, I'll just use Croissant, and yeah, I decided to just put Lyria in there anyway because Lyria is so strong, right? I put Neo in there just so I can she does have a much higher cap than usual compared to some of my other characters anyway, so I also put her in there just to give like a little bit of consistency in terms of where if I need to use her S2 to buff up. So obviously because I'm Wind, it's a lot better for me to use Freya turn 1. Freya turn 1 is like so damn good anyway, takes like forever to cast, so that sucks. Grid is just very straightforward as well. Just put as much raw damage as you can. That's why I also use the Nataku spear for that. I don't really use Ultima in here because you don't really need that anyway. I just kind of want to stack in on like all the raw damage. I mean, you don't really see that much cap on this, but hey, it works anyway for me. I can just, you know, use Freya and shit happens. I don't really have my Judgment here, but the main reason I don't put my judgment in here, because most of the time I tend to use this team, or more like I tend to use my OTK setup for Fossen, the normal Fossen. So, and then it's like I tend to switch here and there. So for some reason I have my Seraphic in here as well, because I also use it for my standard OTK and shit, that's why. But yeah, I was supposed to put Judgment in here, but I guess I totally forgot as well, because I tend to just use this for nuking Fossen normals, so that didn't really matter all too much, I suppose. And I also kind of forgot to remove this when I'm just mashing Fossen. Oh well. But yeah, straightforward, it works. And also I'll be using Long Dong as my support summon. Very straightforward. It does allow me to go 3-turn nukes with it. So yeah, it's pretty great. So this, for Shinies case, I tend to always use my Win these days, because it's pretty done simple. I can nuke pretty hard and stuff. And then Monkey's S1 is just like your panic button or emergency button in order to heal your party to full again and stuff like that. It's fairly straightforward. So I just use Siete, Monkey, and Neo as always. I just use I did 5-star my gun, so I'm just using that. Put in like consistent damage. Put 2 harps, Opus, Ultima, and also obviously have an extra Rise of the Beast Spear so I can get extra cap. Because the main damage comes from Oging anyway, it's not really much on autos, because Siete is there. Summon's pretty standard again. Shiva for S4. Freya is for like the, you know, doing the Siete nuke stuff. Combo, blah blah blah. Baha and like in the middle part, Typhoon. So you can get an extra nuke. Very straightforward, shiny. I don't think I actually changed this from before. Okay, so this is like my Win Fossen setup, like the hard Fossen setup. So it's fairly, once again, like the very straightforward lineup, where I use the standard characters. I put Urius at the back so he can actually just get himself killed, so Siete stays alive at the end, and Neo comes in after the Go for Sark, usual stuff. You can't really clear too many labors as Win. I mean, you can probably do it, but I don't really have those characters for it, so I tend to be a little bit pussy in the end. I am using Gravity for this because there are a lot of times where Quatre or like the Clarice, whoever has Valentine Clarice, tends to miss their Gravity or something. So this is kind of like the emergency, because I can kind of make do without a Dispel, because both Monkey and Urius have a Dispel. Because most of the time, Fossen, as long as you have 2 Dispels, I think you're great. You need at least like 2 Dispels to be on the safe side. You don't really need 3. 3 is a little bit overkill. Grid fairly normal again. I put in both this Rise of the Beast Harp and the dagger here, just so I can get above 30k HP. The rest is just consistent damage, you know, the usual stuff. So summon wise, you can kind of like change it a little bit if you want. You can, because I'm also using double Tiamat for this, just so I can get extra enough HP to reach the amount. I can't really use Grimnir. Honestly, Grimnir, I feel like it's not really a great idea to begin with, because you can kind of like use Tiamat to get through Phosphorus. You can also provide to other party members to get through Phosphorus anyway, because there are chances of you getting Phosphorus again at 55. Yeah, it happens. Not all the time, but it happens. And then Kirin, obviously, it's great because you can refresh Siete's shit again, so you can nuke even more. I know a good crewmate of mine tends to use plenty of Kirin, so you can nuke with Siete plenty of times. But yeah, if you really want to do that, by all means, it's great. So for my Win, it's just fairly standard. It just gets things done, get my own labors done, and help debuff, wait at 25, the usual stuff. And onto my light generic setup. These days, I tend to use only like, I don't really use my Hector Grid though, even though I have my Hector Grid. But I honestly prefer this team, which is my Highlander setup. I prefer my Highlander setup because my Highlander setup does have a lot higher cap. That's why I prefer it so much more compared to like my Hector. Hector does allow me to have very consistent damage and all that, but the cap is just not all that great. And because I have the normal Jan and Funfu and the help of the buffs from Longdong Katana, you know, it just helps make the consistency on Highlander setups. And because I don't really do like really high defense raids all that much anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, I'm just using my Highlander setup for my light majority of the case. This here, honestly, is just... I don't know what to put in here, to be honest with you. I just put this Hangman here just so I can get extra stats. Yeah. I should try to figure out what the hell I want to do with this, but for all I know, you can just ignore that. And just to note, probably you won't see an OTK setup for my light yet because I don't have it set up yet. Yeah, because I don't have characters and all that shit. Probably you see one in the slight future when maybe the next sub-ticket or something. But yeah, for now, I do not have an OTK setup for my light because my light's OTK setup sucks so much ass. And another thing is that I do not have a Fossen setup for my light because it's very, very outdated and I don't really want to share that because it sucks ass. My light literally got carried anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Oh yeah, moving on. Moving on finally to my dark. This is like my standard setup where I use the help of Nia, but I also I use Olivia, 6 Kolulu just so I can like go through things on my own, stuff like that. So it's not exactly like OTK stuff. I can technically do that with this as well, but I don't really need to. So I'll be using double Hades. So I'll have Olivia stay alive for quite a bit if I need to, you know, not have if the raid is lasting a little bit too long kind of thing, because Nia dies too fast anyway, right? So I need like another character to like be a replacement for Nia. If I recall correctly, I did share this with you know, the Proving Grounds weapon, the Proving Grounds video I uploaded a few days ago. Fairly similar grid as that. This is technically the same shit. I tend to use this quite often, quite a bit, and yeah. Use double Hades, Typhoon, sure. Death is just to kill off, you know, blah blah blah. My OTK setup will be this one. I'm not sure if I shared this in the previous video or not, but yeah, I'm just using like 3 Fallen Swords, 2 sticks. I put in a Herma Anubis in there, which is Anubis's weapon, and I just get as much cap as I can. This 3 swords is just to get my consistency up. I also use this just so I can debuff and such. It makes it even better. So Opus is also a really good weapon to use. And because of this, I can't exactly use the chain burst because you need to use chain burst in order for you to Ogi like your entire team to be able to Ogi. But because of I have to use this to get more damage for my Ogi stuff, I tend to use Long Dong Call in order to get my meter full in turn 1. So usually if I really want to do something, I can only do 2 turns max. So that's unfortunate, but usually that's more than enough for OTK setups anyway to get like blue chests and such. And yeah, just so damn good. So I guess I can somewhat share with you like my dark setup for fast and hard. The thing is, this I haven't exactly tried with the help of Nia, but honestly I don't think it would be that different anyway. But yeah, honestly I think I might actually try with Nia some other day, but for now I think I'll just share with you like my team that is relatively like consistent. So obviously Vampy is like a must because I need her dispel. Zoe is like I'm using like a enmity setup for this, so Kolulu will be great as well, and then Zoe just helps you know go through Paradise Lost and shit. It's just fairly straightforward. I just put 6 at the back because in case one of them dies, at least 6 can help do damage. He can help counter and all that shit as well. You know, because his counter will always land because Fossen multi-hits so damn much anyway. He will just counter everything. Yeah, fairly great. Grade wise, I am using my enmity setup because I'm using Gislas and all that shit. I'm not going to show you guys that I'm using enmity here, but if I have to run dark in Fossen, I will change this to enmity. I don't really want to change it right now because I don't really want to use my materials. So yeah, I am using this, but I kind of wish I did stupid Diablo bow. I kind of wish I had Fairy's Harp, because if I do, it will be in here and I'll be able to do way more damage that way. Because this shit is fucking useless. But yeah, Blood Gang as a main hand is pretty damn good because you get extra damage and stuff like that, and Fossen doesn't exactly dispel at all. Yeah. So you get the extra Ogi cap and stuff that you know you can stack quite a bit. My summons are the same once again for my dark, because you know fairly straightforward. Athena, Kirin. I can technically make do with another Kirin if I really want to like abuse Zoe's conjunction, but honestly it doesn't really matter. I can do fairly well with this setup anyway. I think the most I did was able to hit like 1.7 or something, 1.7 million in Fossen, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I can do a little bit more when I have freaking ass Fairy Harp in here. Yeah, and I did put in Ultima in here because I do want MC and at least Kolulu to be more consistent in terms of multi-attacking, because if not, they just, I don't know, single attack all freaking day. Vampy doesn't really need all too much help anyway, because of her. Most of the time, you tend to only use her her dispel or just the charm once at the beginning and call it a day, right? So you usually tend, if Vampy stays alive, Vampy will always have the 2 stacks up for a really long time, so it doesn't really matter all too much in terms of a multi-attack, and 6 doesn't need that. So anyway, that's it for my loadout explanations. I'm gonna let you guys know on like my current progress on like what I farmed so far and stuff like that. I mostly did farm just mostly like Morina, Bunkle stuff really, because most of the time I tend to spend on just that. So I did complete my prom, so I also completed my Hector, and now I'm on my way to completing Morina's grid. I still need like 7 more. Yeah, I think I still need like 7 more bows at the moment, so I'm probably gonna be able to finish that either next MagFest or I don't know, when I get lucky, I guess. But it is possible for me to get onto my Zeph Morina grid, so I am actually looking forward to that. Besides that, I don't think I really did farm up all too much. In terms of farming, it's all mostly me getting more fodders, getting more quartz, getting more weapon stones, all that stuff, just so I can get like my resources up and running. But yeah, besides that, the ones that I really just progressed through like the last 4 months is really just the Bunkle grids. There isn't really much change about that. That's one of the reasons why you don't really see me update my loadout, because it's honestly not really that different from the one before. So anyway, this has been a really long video. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and the usual stuff. It really helps me out in the video and stuff. So as usual, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll hope to see you guys again on the next video on stream. Bye bye.